As a dentist, doctor, or small business owner, you're probably feeling the weight of balancing your demanding practice with your personal life, right? It's tough to find the time for family, to focus on your health, or even think about your financial future when you're always grinding away at work. To the Dr. Josh Cochran Show, where I'll focus on empowering professionals like you to build passive income and achieve financial independence through real estate and smart investment strategies. Each episode, you'll discover practical steps and real-world stories to help you create long-term wealth and gain more time to focus on what really matters: health, family, and freedom. You're ready to break the cycle and start living on your own terms. This show is for you. All right, welcome to the Dr. Josh Cochran Show, the #1 show for dentists, doctors, and entrepreneurs that covers wealth, health, family, freedom in the world. Brought to you by Cochran Capital. Thoughtfully designed investment portfolios for accelerated wealth building, sophisticated strategies for deferral, elimination of capital gains tax, depreciation recapture, and ordinary income tax. Build the future you deserve. Just a heads up, everything we talk about on this podcast is just our personal opinions and experiences. We're not giving legal, financial, tax, or accounting advice, so don't take it that way. Be sure to talk to qualified pros before making any big decisions. We're just here to share ideas, have real conversations, and hopefully help you think a little differently. We have a great show today. My friend, the Earl of Endearment, Dr. Paul Etchison. Welcome, Paul.
Hey, thanks for having me, man. I'm excited to be on the world famous Josh Cochran Show, baby. I love it.
And the Bishop of Balance, Dr. Reed Faldet. Welcome, Reed.
Wow, you're killing it with these names. I gotta come up with something for you. Last time I was the Wonder Kid. I'm gonna come up with something for you next time.
Who are you the Wonder Kid with last night? What's that? I want to hear that story.
That's what Josh called me last time I was in. I don't know where he pulled that from. I'm not sure.
Last week, not last night, Paul.
Did he say that? I'm pretty sure he said last night. We're going to have to go back and see the tale of the tape.
Time.
Oh, I heard last night, and I said, well, that sounds like an interesting story. What did you do last night, Wonder Kid?
Tell me more.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, we're going to start with our In the News segment. One key piece for me this week was the Ways and Means Committee released their initial long draft of the new tax bill. It had both the big one here, 100% bonus depreciation coming back. In this version, this is the early version, right? It's going to go through some committees and whatnot, but coming back as of January. So anything past January this year would get 100% bonus depreciation if this continues to make it through. And I mean, the administration is supportive of that. The second one is opportunity zones. That's a big one for me for capital gains. That's what I use. I love it. And that also had a bunch of language in there for that. So any thoughts on bonus depreciation or opportunity zones, guys?
Well, I feel like the bonus depreciation, is that like is that like something they're chopping or keeping every year? Because I feel like they talk about it every single year for the past 10 years. That's going to go away. And it never, has it ever went away?
It's been reduced by like 20% a year the last 3 years. So basically, this is my understanding, and I'm not a political guy, but my understanding is you're trying to put something in the tax bill. You're trying to get everyone to agree with it. And you have to balance incoming tax revenue with tax benefits, like depreciation you're giving out, like less tax revenue, right? And so instead of just making things like permanent all the time, the way to get them through is say, hey, this isn't going to be permanent. We'll just do this for 7 years, 8 years or something. So so in like 2019, Trump put this in there, and then it was full 100% for a few years and down 20% a year for a few years. So now he wants it, back to 100%. We'll see how long that stays for, but that's where we're at.
It's interesting. That's like how I added Saturdays to my dental office. It was just a little bit. Just try it once, guys. It's not going to stay forever. I knew the whole time. I knew the whole time where we were going. I knew what I was doing.
Just try it out.
How we do everything in our practice when there's resistance. I say the same thing. Hey, we're just gonna try it. Let's see. Yeah. We can always roll it back. It's the easiest way to slide it in.
Right.
Yeah. I don't know like what I have for that's gonna bonus depreciate that I don't have any bonus depreciation life-changing stories. I mean, it decreased by 20%, and I can't say my life's been very much different. Maybe I'm not buying enough. Maybe I need a better consumer. I need to need to show up more for America.
I think you can tell where everyone's focuses are. Reading
Yeah.
thoughts.
I love bonus depreciation, but that's like my number one thing for mitigating interim taxation, as we talked about last time. So it makes a big difference for me because every property we buy kind of allows me to bank more bonus depreciation that I can use to offset distributions from the other property. So I just think of it constantly as like two buckets. I'm trying to fill up the bonus depreciation to offset any distribution. So it's kind of back and forth. So this just makes it a little easier, makes that ratio a little bit better. So I'm all in favor for it.
So is that through like the cost segregation analysis, and then okay? So see, I see how this plays now. I'm just not a savvy tax person.
What?
I'm probably bonus appreciating every year, and I'm just trusting that my guy's doing it for me. He better be.
You
We're
better make
talking
some
about the
calls after
bonus.
this. You got to make some calls
Yeah,
after this. Make sure.
yeah, I want to be excited about my bonus depreciation. I feel kind of like I'm missing out on it, but it better be there on my 600-page tax return that I can't even follow anymore. When they send me the draft, how's this look? Looks great. Let, let me get
Yeah,
back to you in 10
you
years
don't
when
read
I
it?
read it.
It
You
is
don't
kind
read
of
it
funny
all.
that it's
I can't
600
read it.
pages. We're not educated
Yeah.
as accountants, and then we got to sign it and send it to the IRS, right?
Yeah.
Like we're
Well,
experts.
I file a return in like every state, and I have no idea why that's happening. I don't know what's going on.
Is it
And
because
I guess
you're
it's something to do with internet business or something, but I don't know. Yeah,
Oh
I don't know.
man,
Yeah,
yeah.
but it looks like a pain in the ass. He can't like doing it. My
You know,
CPA.
I do like, and I don't want to get like political one side or the other, but just like kind of like more actionable. Like Elon going up and seeing like old software and like ridiculous things happening, and just be like, why don't we just like clean all this up? Like his example was like when an employee wanted to like retire from the federal government, right? But like the whole process, it was like, I don't know, like 6 months. The files are literally kept in this cave, like it's just ridiculous. And he's like, well, just make it automated through software. I feel like with like all the IRS stuff too, it's just like you said, like state filings and all this stuff. I mean, it's just so complex.
It
I just
is.
feel like it could be simplified.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think they were throwing money at it and with agents and stuff. And you got to think with like AI. I mean, there's so much. I mean, I just feel like they're just going to start auditing like crazy. That's what I feel like. It's going to be small little audits of little things that are AI generated, where they're just going to be throwing things out there. Well, we'll send a letter. If they pay it, we get, $3,000.
That's
And it's going to be
really
such a large scale that it's going to make sense to like, they're going to come after your like home office deduction or did you really use all those miles?
send us a scan of your home office on your phone, right? Upload it, and then the AI is going to read it and like it's going to match the square feet to what you said, right? And be like,
Yeah, yeah.
right.
And then they
It's
want
going to
your
put so
journal
much
for your
more work on
miles. That's what
us.
it's going to be. Where did you drive? Let's see your journal. You're like, oh, I bought a journal when I first did this. The first year I wrote it off, and then I said, nope.
Oh man,
Well, I don't know.
now
Maybe
I'm terrified.
Josh, I could see you keeping a journal actually for your mileage.
I tried, dude, but I can't. I'm not about that stuff. I tried like intention, but man, it's painful, and I just don't want that kind of pain in my life.
Yeah,
Do you?
you could spend more money and bonus depreciate it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, yeah. Keep
Hmm.
it
I
simple.
like the loop back, Paul. Good to bring that back to the
Yeah.
conversation.
So yeah,
Yeah.
bonus depreciation coming back. Real estate professionals love it because we don't pay taxes. Investors like it; they don't pay taxes on their investments. Same with like another thing that was really interesting in the news is they're heavily incentivizing manufacturing. Right. So like all that equipment for like a manufacturing plant, like you write that off in the first year, right?
Hmm.
So that's
Yes.
a real nice option. And then rural, with the opportunity zone specifically, they're giving like 50% bonuses on all this tax stuff on top of the opportunity zone, which is already great for rural stuff. So we'll still have to kind of qualify what rural means, but yeah, I thought that was interesting as well. So we'll see.
Is there any way to bridge that? So if you were going to be a dentist doing a startup or a ground up build in a rural community, what is the way you could utilize that for opportunity zones? Is that an avenue you could take?
It is. And I actually tried with one of our practices when it just came out the first time. And it was just so new that the balls were dropped, and then we didn't hit the compliance marks. But here's the idea. So with an opportunity zone, I'll give the basics and then I'll give how to apply to dental. Okay, so an opportunity zone are these tracks all across the country in like lower income areas. Okay, they're designated by like the governor and the state. Now sometimes it's like where you think like the lower income areas in your town, and sometimes like in Portland, it's the entire downtown of Portland. So there was a little bit of like, kind of where you want to go with this. And so what happens is when you have a capital gain, right? Typically, if you're active, your capital gain tax is 20%, and if you're passive, it's 23.8. Okay. So let's say you sold something, a building or whatever, let's say you make $1 million. Okay. So we talked about the value of interim taxation, not paying the 200 grand or 238,000. You can compound that, roll that, build your wealth much faster. So originally opportunity zones, you put the money in to a fund that does investments in these areas, and you defer your capital gain for like 7 years. So like that whole time you're compounding wealth on that 7 years. Plus there's like some reductions in the capital gain tax depending on how many years. But that's the small piece. The big piece is all these investments you need to hold for 10 years. Okay. And I think at most in the original bill, you could hold them for like, oh gosh, maybe 30 years, 20, 30 years. I'd have to look at the exact number. It's like 2047. So when you exit, you pay 2 taxes typically, right? So if we're depreciating everything a ton, you pay depreciation or capture taxes. It's 25% of what you depreciated. Okay, which is huge because usually you try to depreciate everything. And then the other tax is capital gain, right? And if you kind of add those up together, so usually about 40% is like a good rule of thumb. Okay, so when you sell something, you're paying like a 40% tax. Well, with opportunity zones, you pay 0. Okay, so it's like having a Roth, right? Where you're not paying taxes. You're just building it up and you're not paying taxes. So it gives a lot more flexibility. Um,
So
so
you pay 0 when you exit out of an opportunity zone?
yeah, when you exit the investment,
But you have to do it. You have to know this going into it. Otherwise, you'll screw it up, right?
you have to know, like you have to hit
Don't
the
you have to like the compliance? Like you mentioned, like you screwed up the compliance. Like it's not something where like some people would be checking their properties and be like, oh my gosh, are we in an opportunity zone? Let me see. Like you had to know it. Like you had to set it up and like you had to plan for this.
you had to
Intention.
know it, and the accountant has to file something with your tax return every year,
Yeah.
right? You have to
Yeah.
do a test, and that's when our accountant that was opportunity zone accountant was helping us do and did not do. But I mean, I was the leader. It's on me, right? I probably could have been micromanaging, and I didn't because I was doing 100 other things. So, but anyway, so
Mhm.
yeah,
A lot
okay.
of
So that's
excuses. That's all I'm hearing. A
what's
lot of
up.
Yeah.
excuses, Josh. That's fine. It's a
You
lot of
missed
excuses
the
being made
opportunity.
I'm the leader. It's my fault.
there.
Let's just get that
Take some
clear.
responsibility.
I love that
No.
accountability. That's refreshing.
So, yeah, okay. So 90% of this ends up being real estate. Okay. Because you have to do like heavy value add, right? Which means, depending on how you look at it, if you buy like a building, at least what you bought it for, the rule of thumb is like you have to put in just as much to fix it up. Okay. So if you buy the building for $1 million, you got to put another $1 million fixing it up. Okay. So what works really good on this is ground up development, right? Where you're buying land and then you're putting a ton of money to build something. Okay. So 90% of it ends up being real estate, right? Build an apartment building, right? Hold it for 10 years, sell it, no tax, right? Bonus 40% gain on top of 16% average annual return on like real estate stuff. Okay.
Just huge.
Huge. So the other piece that I wanted to do that is not used as much, okay, is the business side. You can also do a business. Okay. So if you find an opportunity zone, like piece of land or an old building, okay, you know, dentistry have a lot of TI costs, right? So the building doesn't even need to be that. Oh, you're going to put a ton on just on TIs. You buy the building or the land, you build a dental practice there. Okay. If you use capital gain money you kind of, it needs to be capital gain money. So you'll have to have a capital gain from something else. But I talked to a girl on our show maybe 2 episodes about this, a young doctor where she was selling her dental practice, right? She wanted to do like real estate or like another dental practice with the capital gain. And she had like land already, like debt, like focused on that she knew in this tract. Okay. So now you put it in, you take your capital gain from something else, selling your first dental practice or real estate, you build a new dental practice, you get to defer that capital gain payment, right? Depending on the structure of opportunity zones at that time. Right now, the deferral went from 7 years to 2 years because they haven't extended it yet. So we'll see what happens in this tax bill. So right now it's a 2-year deferral. But if you hold that dental practice for 10 years, when you sell it, no capital gain and no depreciation recapture on that practice and that building.
On just the building, or like what about the goodwill of the practice?
Yeah, so when
be
you
under business.
depreciate a practice, I think it's more the like the equipment and the
Yeah.
furnishings you're depreciating. So yeah, no depreciation recapture tax when you sell.
So
I
if
have
you were,
some.
go ahead, Paul.
I was going to say, like, where we typically do all our real estate investing is in Section 8 areas, which just happen to be sometimes in an opportunity zone. And I'm not sure I'd want to own a practice there. That's it's just my, but you know, I haven't seen them all. I haven't seen all the opportunity zones. There's a lot of opportunity in opportunity zones. I just know my opportunity zone, and I'm not going to take that opportunity for a dental practice.
There are some nice, like in my area, there are some like nicer, like middle of the road, quite a few. So,
But it's like
uh,
you said, I think they designate these zones and they draw the boundaries, and often there's a nicer little sliver or corner that gets included where you're like, okay, all
Yeah,
right, yeah, okay.
I got a big idea. You ready? So you map out all the opportunity zones in the United States, right? And you go to dentists, you push it out to them and say, hey guys, do you want to practice in any of these opportunity zones, right? Do you want to do a startup? Do you want to ever like I'm already going to this area or I wanted to be in this area, right? And so what you do is you do development real estate in that area, but on the other side of it, you're pooling funds for people who have capital gains, right? So they need to put their money in an opportunity zone. They'd rather help develop the real estate within this new opportunity zone. And so you plug them in as the capital partner. And the current dentist that's going to do the space maybe is 50% partner or whatever percentage. And now everybody wins because they'll be able to exit on the other side of that with tax-free gains.
I
What do
think
we
we
think?
just started a business. I just think you know what? And I think you should lead with, "Hey doc, are you looking for an opportunity?" It's a good idea. This is the out of box. You know, this is why you are an entrepreneur. Yeah. I'm, yeah. I'm not thinking that far ahead.
Everybody
Yeah.
wins. Everybody
Yes.
wins. I love win-win situations. I don't see how
It
anyone
is win.
loses in this.
100%.
No.
So it's go back to the basics. If you have a capital gain, okay, and you believe in real estate investing or dental practices, okay, and development, because it's a development of both. You're not buying like an existing dental practice, right? It's got to be like startups or on the real estate side of development. Then there is no better tax structure out there, right? Why not take the deferral on the front end and the 40% bonus at the end on your return, right? By not paying those taxes. So like Paul, if you're already doing Section 8, right? And you guys are cool with the 10-year hold, there's no reason you shouldn't be doing this.
Yeah. And that's a tough one too, is because we haven't held anything that long. Because typically these buildings are so old, they just wear you down.
Yeah.
They just like wear you down where you're just like, What just happened there? Again? Pipes. Pipes will be holding up though for like 100 years, and then you buy the building. It's like, not today. We're blowing today. And
It's
we're
like
gonna make sure we're gonna slow leak for about 2 months before anybody finds it. So there's mold everywhere. That's the kind of buildings I buy. They're angry.
it's like when you try
Uh,
to play a pickup game of basketball and the body just doesn't hold up anymore, right?
Yeah,
Ankle
exactly.
gosh, the knees goes. You're just
Yeah,
like, it's just not worth it.
yeah.
I gotta take a day off. Yeah.
That's how I tore my ACL. Yeah.
oh,
It was actually a game of horse, but um
with
a
your
little
daughter.
less a little less intense.
That fadeaway three gotcha, huh?
Yeah. 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 Actually it was just yeah,
Uh,
it was pretty in yeah, it was small. It was something I thought if I had a replay of it, I would look at that and say, I am so surprised my body couldn't handle that. I'm disappointed. I looked at my knee the next morning. I said, what the hell, dude? What are you doing?
but
I looked at my other knee, the good one. I was like, you're still cool. Thanks. Keep holding
all
there.
right. So let's get to the part of the show. I'm going to tell a little story about how I met Paul, and then we're going to ask Paul some questions about wealth, health, family, freedom.
Hmm.
So now this is like me. It's got to be about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and my memory is terrible. So Paul, I'm probably going to get half of this right and half of this completely wrong. Okay, so here's the story how I met Paul. One of the most interesting characters in dentistry who I have ever met, and I won't say his name or get into it, threw together an impromptu mastermind. Paul, was this in Chicago, this mastermind?
Yes.
Okay.
It
Threw
was in
together,
Chicago. I don't know why.
who knows? Who knows?
I don't know if it was the interesting character was in Chicago. No,
I
I don't think he was.
I
Because
think
I
he
think
was in
he
St.
was.
Louis or I can't even remember.
I
He
think
was
he was
moving
in.
around.
He was
Yeah.
moving around. He was.
Yeah, very interesting character, hilarious guy, and through this impromptu mastermind, right? And those of us that are just like spontaneity type folks, we ended up it was probably like 30 of us. I think it
It's
was
a good group.
maybe 1 or 2 days hotel, and Jason Tenuri ended up showing up. Okay, so got to know Jason for the first time. Paul, and then there was I think Brandon. I have to look him up. A really nice guy to like Alabama or Mississippi somewhere. We still talk
Mhm.
sometimes on Facebook. Nice guy. Anyway, so just fun event. We go out to dinner. So we're standing outside the dinner restaurant, and Paul is over here telling a story about how he has a tramp stamp. Okay. And,
The whole
and
time I'm like wondering where is this going?
where
Yeah,
is this
I'm like,
going, right?
I,
And I'm actually not going to slaughter this story. I'm actually going to let Paul, do you want to tell this story after I give like my
yeah, I'm surprised
insight?
I was sharing this
Okay.
with people, and
So this is the thing. This guy, like I just met this guy, right? And the humility to
yeah,
just be like, yeah, I got a tramp stamp. Want me to tell you the dumb story?
yeah. Okay, so I'll
Like,
share. So, yeah, me and my buddy in college, freshman, so like 18, 19-year-olds. We watched something on TV where they were doing brandings and they were getting like, 3D tattoos. And we're just like, dude, what? We could do this. We don't need to go pay money for this. So I got a P for Paul on my lower back because this was like there was a maybe 2 year period where dudes were getting like tramp stamps. They weren't even called tramp stamps yet. I mean, there's a million guys with tramp stamps that say like, "Damn it, stop calling it that," like because they felt it. They felt the culture switching on the lower back tattoo. So mine is not a tattoo; it is a scar, but it is a P for Paul. But if you look, we did this with a hanger and a little propane torch, and if you look at a P on a hanger, it looks great. When you turn it around and smush it and burn it on somebody's back, it's reversed. So my dumbass friend gave me a Q. And instead of cutting my losses right there, I'm like, well, put a P right below it. So now I got a Q and a P burned into my back with scars into my lower back. And for most people that they see it, like if I'm at a pool or something like that, they're like, "Hey, did you get back surgery?" I'm like, "Yeah, yeah." I just say, "Yeah." It's not. Sometimes I go into the story. I must have been drinking. I think I was drinking.
maybe I can't
That's my
remember.
Yeah, I like to drink and I get vulnerable and I share things. Sometimes I get over it. But yeah, okay, I love that. I didn't know that was my opener for you. That was my it's good.
I mean, I
Yeah.
think at the meeting, I think we were like chatting about stuff. It's like thoughtful, like, oh, smart guy, like all that kind of stuff. But when you have like the humility, right, to just like, oh yeah, let me tell you one of the dumbest things I've ever done in my life. And
Yeah.
with like all the brand new people you meet, like I had so much respect for that. And I was like, I love this guy.
If you ask my kids about these scars, if you ask my two daughters, they're 14 and almost 10, they
Okay.
will say, Dad's gonna tell me later. That's
Okay.
all they know about it.
Okay.
That's a story for
Okay.
later, kids.
They
You
should
know?
listen to this then.
Yeah, that's a story for later. Because I don't, how do you explain to a 14-year-old that level of just drunkenness? They can't wrap their mind around that.
No,
I mean,
no.
sometimes they see me having like a beer or two and they're like, don't get drunk, Daddy. Oh, God. And I'm like, what is, they like think it's like this horrible thing that they learned about in school. Like when you drink too much, you drink two beers and you're drunk and you're going to go and beat the shit out of your wife and like burn your house down or something. I don't know.
I feel like at 15, like when beer starts like floating around, right? Because when you're like, people start driving, you start going to parties, you're
Yeah.
15, your buddy's 16, you're gonna start seeing like drunken bad decisions. So I think like 14, 15, I mean, your oldest
Yeah.
daughter is there, right?
Yeah. She's starting high school next year.
I
Yeah.
think this is a parable. Like,
They
look
seem
how
very
dumb her
behind.
dad is. Don't be
Yeah.
dumb like me, right? And then anytime they think about like drinking too much, they'll be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna
Yeah.
be
And
like
then I can
that."
start like, I could get to the point where it's like a thing. I just point at it. What are you doing? What? Just point at this. Remember this? You remember this? You want something like this on your body for the rest of your life? Getting
I
on
love it.
podcasts and guys remember you as a tramp stamp dude.
I love it.
I was the Earl of Endearment. Now I'm just the tramp stamp guy.
No, that was. I mean, this was an endearing thing, right? Like this endeared you to me, right? Just like
It was on brand.
putting it
Nice.
out there.
Good.
Yep.
Gosh, play on words there.
Have
People
you
don't forget,
any
Paul. People don't
tattoos?
forget. Are you asking me?
Yeah,
No, no, I don't have any tattoos.
me neither. I'm boring. Okay. Well,
Boring,
moving
boring, boring.
on.
Paul's the edgy one. He's the edgy one.
I've got, if we want to talk about like trendy, like in vogue, out of vogue tattoos, I have Asian letters on me. Like that stuff. I'm sure there's a more cultural appropriate name for it, but I've got Asian letters. And oh, truth, you like this story too, Josh. All right, so you remember they had hats? I don't know. Remember when they had hats where you could get like your team, but it was like the Japanese or Chinese letters?
For like baseball?
Yes.
Okay.
So
No.
they had one for
Oh,
University of Illinois, and then when you open up, you look under the bill, it says Chief. So, if you can put A and B together, you would look at the symbol and assume it means Chief, like Chief Illini Weck, like for University of Illinois. So
yeah.
I went and got this tattooed on my shoulder, and then I went to visit my buddy in Arizona at MBA school, and this Chinese guy goes, "No, no, 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 that doesn't mean Chief. That means long." And I'm like, "It means what?" He goes, "Long, length. It means lots of length." And I'm like, "Length? I got length tattooed." I needed a modifier. So he wrote me the symbol. I got it. I had to add it to the symbol. And before I went and got that tattoo to add to the tattoo, I stopped at the little the Chinese restaurant in my town, and I said, "Hey, can somebody read this for me and tell me if this is legit?" And so I had to get that modified. I went from length to chief.
Gee. So that was fixable. Are you a quick start, Paul? You've done
Yeah.
I like testing. Like leap
Yeah.
before you think. Like
Yeah. Well, that's what, when you're talking about the opportunity zones, it's like 10 years. I'm like, that's way too long to wait for gratification. I mean, who's got that kind of patience? That's our problem with our Section 8s. We're probably getting our ass kicked on taxes because we can't hold the building long enough because we're just like,
Yeah.
screw it, sell it.
Yeah.
It's only fun when you buy it and sell it, but it's like, I know I'm getting crushed on taxes. I know we should hold longer. And I know we should take more advantage. We got to take advantage of the opportunities, guys. I think that is, if you're gonna take one moral from this episode, it's that seize the opportunity.
Oh, let's talk. You've seen a lot in your last oh gosh, maybe when did you start your practice? What year? When you opened
2012.
2012.
So we're going on 13 years now. I sold it to a DSO in 2020, end of 2020, after COVID.
Yeah, 8 years and then 5 years back. So you've learned a lot. this show is ultimately about wealth. Wealth in my mind is like the portal to freedom in other areas, right? Freedom to spend time with your family, freedom of health, freedom of travel, like all the other things you want to do. So we talk a lot about wealth here because it's really a springboard to these other things. Health, so important. Family, you got a lot of good stuff you do. And I have a question that on one thing that you do that I really like. And then freedom kind of encompasses all the other pieces there. Is there any pearls that you want to share on wealth, like things that you've learned that have been positive, negative, like anything that's kind of settled for you over the
I
years?
would say, like to give listeners a little bit of background is like I sold my practice for a large amount, and it was enough to get to, that elusive number where you're like, this is the number I need, where at very reasonable gains I could live off of and never have to work again because everybody says that's not the dream, but like if you're like me, you got to find that out for yourself. So you got to get there, and then I'm like, well, I know you can't sit on your ass and do nothing all day, but let me show you how good I can do this. And the lesson I learned through this was that what people were saying was true. They weren't lying, they weren't making that up, and I'm not special. It's like what I wish I would have known back then was that I will never retire. And that is what I've decided through this is that because I'm still working at my practice, I'm doing coaching consulting with doctors, with dental practice owners, trying to get them to cut down on their days. And I'm still doing real estate. I'm just still involved. And the fact of the matter is if I would have looked back and said, hey, uh, you will never retire, ever, ever, ever. So stop trying to make so much money to save so much money because I think the difference between me having a very comfortable level of work and grinding as hard as I did was maybe to the tune of saving an extra $300,000 a year so I could get to my number sooner. And I never stopped. So I think if I said, you know what, I'm going to work until I'm like 70 instead of retiring when I'm 40, I could have saved a lot less. I could have made a lot less. I could have enjoyed life a lot more and I wouldn't had been so just stressed out sometimes. Self-inflicted stressed out because I mean, we're business owners. I mean, we do have a patient schedule, but to some extent, we're making our own schedule. So I made my schedule very hectic and chaotic under the guise of I'm just trying to get that number so I can breathe. And I got there, and it was a really eye-opening situation. It was I realized that it wasn't what I thought it was going to be. And I don't want to make it sound bad. I'm not crying like pity me and poor me and stuff. I mean, it's great having that money. But what I'm saying is that it didn't do emotionally what I thought it was going to do for me. I thought it was going to make me feel more ease. I was going to be, this is when I'm going to really start enjoying life. And it was a rather sobering, depressing fact when I got there is that everything felt the same. And then I had to go inward and work on myself and figure out what lights me up and do those things. And through that process of doing that, spending more time with my girls, with my wife, just relationships, the important relationships in my life. And the fact of the matter is I had that available to me the whole time. So when people say don't miss the journey, I think I missed a lot of the journey. I really did. And even like, man, my oldest first 4 years when we did the startup, man, I wasn't even there. I was just so engaged in the startup. So a lot of the business success had to do with how much time I put into it and how much energy I put into it. But it's like those things, man. Nobody's going to remember all the hours you put in except for your kids, and they're going to remember it for the wrong reasons. So it's like learn those lessons. Had to learn it myself. Had to learn the hard way. But I still got time. I mean, my oldest is 14. My youngest is almost 10, and I'm spending a lot more time with them now, and I guess I had to get to that number to figure that out. So getting to that number did do something for me, but that would be my advice if anyone's listening and thinking they're going to get to some number and it's going to change their life as far as happiness and fulfillment. You've got everything you need already. Trust me, but you probably won't listen. If you're like me, you won't. Figure it out on your own.
Those are some sage words, Paul. I mean, what you just said there, amazing. Thank you for sharing that.
Thanks.
Yeah, well said. Very well said.
Paul, on the family piece, you know, you take your daughters on vacation. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so that was an idea that I got from Alistair. We all know who Alistair is, and if you're in the dental community, you might know who Alistair is. Uh, but he told me that he just gave a presentation somewhere that really made me think, man, time is limited. And it's actually a cool story. I actually got one of those Mori, I think it's called a Mori calendar. Do you guys know what I'm talking about? I
It's
don't know if
like
it's called
how
a Mori. Yeah, it
Italian.
shows like, yeah, it's like the dots for every week of your
Oh,
life. It's a
yes.
big panel. And
Yep.
my God, dude, if you want to get one of these and you can find somewhere to print them with the dots already filled in, it's worth the money because filling in 43 years of dots took a long time. I'm trying to get like my kids to do it. I'm like, come here, this is fun. They're like, this is not fun. They tried for like 10 seconds. It's not fun, Dad. So, but I did that for a visual representation of like how much of my life, if I lived to, I just picked 74 because that's the average male age in the United States. And you visually look at it, that time is short, it's finite, and we think there's always more. So I've been taking my daughters. This is the fourth year we've done it, taking each of my daughters on a one-on-one vacation, just with 3 days. We went to San Antonio, we went to Pigeon Forge. My youngest, the first one we went on, I said, where do you want to go? She wanted to see the birthplace of Helen Keller, and I was like, okay. So we went to like the middle of Alabama, like drove like 3 hours into the middle, and it was really cool, man. It was like, but we're at this tour, me and my daughter, and maybe like nine 70-year-old ladies. I mean, we were definitely the outlier as far as interest in Helen Keller's home. But it was a really cool vacation, and every year I really look forward to these vacations, and my daughter does too, or both of them do. And just we did the I took the youngest to Vegas last weekend, 2 weekends ago, last weekend, and people are like, Vegas, how old is she? She's 9. She's almost 10. And you don't think that's a place for a 9-year-old? Man, it really is. There was a ton of stuff to do. But you know what happened? You know those girls like that dress up like the Vegas showgirls, and like you give them like $2 and they want to take a picture with you. They just want a tip and they're just standing all over the place. They don't try to like hound you when you're walking with your 10-year-old daughter. They don't even say hello to you. Like they respect it. But then the one girl I was walking by and she said DILF, and my daughter goes, "What does that mean?" I'm like, it means she thinks daddy's cute. No, it didn't. What did she say? I'm like, you heard what she said. She's like, yeah, I heard it, but I don't know what it is. I'm like, no, I can't tell you. It just means she thinks
No,
daddy's cute.
no.
But then I didn't know how I felt about being a DILF either. Like, I don't want to be like a dad. I want to be like, just I don't want that to make me extra attractive. I mean, and dad zone, I mean, is like a compliment, but it's like a consolation prize. It's like winning like third place in the losers bracket or something. It's like I don't,
I don't think so. It means like more seasoned, well-rounded, right? You're not just a little
yeah.
too much.
I want someone to still think I'm in my 20s and think when the shirt comes off, there's going to be six-pack abs. And I just want you to be so disappointed when I take off my shirt. That's what I want. I want you to be like, here it comes, yes, and then it comes off, and you go, oh, and then somebody goes, he's a DILF. That's when I'll accept it. Well, you are a
until
DILF.
they see the P and the Q on your back.
Yeah, right. And
Right.
then the P and the Q, the DILF with the tramp stamp made out of keloid scarring. Very nice. Very, very nice. But yeah, it's
Every
I would highly recommend take your daughters on trips. And what's so funny about it is when I took my oldest on the first one, I want to say she was like 10 or 11. She must have been 10. I was like nervous. There was part of me that was like, dude, can we rock together for 3 full days? Like I was just really nervous that she wasn't going to have a good time. And what I have learned is that there is no pressure. It is so easy. They just love spending time with their dad, and we could literally do nothing, and it's still a great time. When we go somewhere where I can't get on the computer and do work, you put the phone down. It's just cool, and part of me wishes there was more time to do it, and I'm sure I could carve out more time to do it. But I think the challenge now is like with my 14-year-old, it's hard to take her out of school. Like she gets really behind. She's like in honors classes, and she like really feels the pain of catching up when she misses some school. So that window might be closing, at least for a 4-day window, or we might have to do it during the summertime. Who knows?
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that. I think your comments in general about missing those years and Alistair talked to you. I read that book 18 Summers. That was a big one for me.
Mm,
Talked about time with the kids and um I think kind of relating back to your dental story about just hustling, like, I forget what the curve is, but the forming, storming, norming, plateau, right? And I feel like if you figure out what you love to do in life, like passion and proficiency, right? You know, you're in the right place, and you form, you storm, you norm. Like when you get to that norming point, you start to form habits and you have like time to spend, like time margin, right? To spend with your kids and whatnot. And I think it's important to be in your passion and proficiency place, right? I think it's important not to be unhappy doing what you're doing your whole life, right? Like you only have one
Mm-hmm.
lifetime short, so do what you love and what you're passionate about. But each time you go through that phase of forming, storming, norming, it takes an enormous amount of time, mental bandwidth, right? And you have less time for your family. So I think as I'm hearing you, I'm reflecting like personally, right? Like I'm doing what I love, like started a construction company, started like a fund and real estate development. Like these are the things that I really enjoy I'm doing. But I've done like vacations with my kids where I take a one-on-one solo, but I haven't done them recently, right? I do the one-on-one dates once a quarter with the kids, but it's like there's a cost, right? And you always got to balance that. And so thank you for sharing that. I appreciate the personal reflection, and I hope
Well,
our listeners are getting that too.
I was gonna say, I think one of the things that it's like the one-on-one dates once a quarter. That's another one for me, but I'm gonna tell you that I haven't done that. And the thing for me that's missing on those, it's I guess it's totally like calendarable, but like when I plan the trip, I gotta book the flights, I gotta book everything. So it's locked in. And I
Yeah.
think that's the challenge is like making it a priority. And it's crappy to say out loud that you can't make it a priority. Because I mean, we're probably making, if you're not doing this with your kids, we're going to say, oh, you're not making it a priority. I don't think that's it at all. I think just life gets away from you. It's just life gets busy. And I would say too, is that I'll come back to this is when I sold my practice, like I said, like it didn't deliver for me. And a lot of what led me to sell my practice was a lot of overwhelm and just a lot of getting tired of dealing with like the people stuff and taking everything personally that happened at the practice, every 1-star review and every upset employee, taking that all personally. And what was the solution for that I didn't know at the time was really just delegation. I just had to get out of the way and really empower my leads at the office. And when I did that, life was really good. And I'm out of the contract with my DSO where I have to stay at my practice, but I'm still there. Two plus years now. I've out of my contract. And the reason I'm there is because it's just so hands off now and it's so chill and my life is so different with the management of the practice. And that's another thing. It was available to me the whole time before the sale, before that lump sum of money. It was just something I had to get to the end of where there was no other solutions and I found it. But I mean, somebody who just starts their practice, get the hell out of the way. You ain't as special. You're not as special as you think you are. You know, and that was me. I thought like, oh, nobody can do this like me. Nobody can be a cheerleader for the practice like me. Yeah, and there is part of me that still says, yeah, nobody really can do it as well as me, but they do it pretty damn close. And there's a lot of things they do better than me. But just getting out of the way has been given me the time and freedom. I think that's what we're all looking for. We're looking for freedom to do what really lights us up and make us happy. I know I'm kind of going all over the place, but I remember working with a life coach at one point, and she said, "What part of your week brings you joy, and what part of your week is just kind of okay, and what part do you miserably hate?" And I remember saying something like 15% joy, 15% neutral, and 70% miserably hate. And she said, "Stop, make a list of the things you hate and stop doing them." And I went through this list and I said, "I'm the only one that can do this. I'm the only one that can do this." And I would say I got rid of 90% of those things on the list that I was the only one I could do. So it's very doable. It's just getting out of your own mind, get out of your own way, and it's mindset. Like, we can always come back to that.
I did the same exercise from the Michael Hyatt book. Same thing, right? Drudgery zone. You don't like it, you're not good at it, right? I didn't hire a person after that. HR gone, right? Delegated that immediately. Quite a few other things, and they're better too. Like my team members that were doing the hiring, right? They were better at me. They're better at the HR stuff. Like it's there are certain things like testament to you. Like I've never heard of anybody that had such good team member retention as you,
Hmm.
right? You're very good at connecting with people, endearing. yourself to your team members. So you're very good at that, but you know, at what cost, right? There's other team members that are ready to grow as humans, right? To develop themselves and step into their light. And by you not stepping out of the way, that doesn't give them an opportunity to be the best version of their selves, right?
So true.
So, no, that's a great story. Reed, thoughts on reflections on what Paul's sharing?
Yeah, I think the whole like I'm gonna bootstrap this, I'm gonna carry the team to the point at which I have success, right? Like we all go through that because there's a certain element that is needed. Like in the beginning, you have to do that, but I think it's the timeline is always probably shorter than what you think it is. But sometimes it's hard when you're in the trenches to think like, where am I in this process? What can I start to let go of versus just like forging ahead? So I think that awareness is hard to find. Um, but it's a very good point, like how you explained it. And I think about that with myself too, like where I've been in the process. And if I'm finding like resistance and feeling drudgery, like this is the time that I need to kind of like reassess what am I doing? What am I spending my time on? And how can I shift it? Because yeah, time is finite. So I think that's well said. The other part is you were able to do that because you built a very profitable practice. When you do that, like the key is having enough profit because that gives you margin and space to be able to delegate. So I think a lot of dentists get trapped because they're not profitable enough. And so they just have to keep doing the same stuff. And so I know that's a lot what you do with your consulting and coaching is how do you get dentists more profitable so they can scale back to 3 days a week or whatever? Because I'm a big fan of that 3 day work week as well, or 2 3 day work week as well. So I think that's a big element is leveling up enough to have enough profit to give yourself space, and now you can kind of reassess and see where you're at. So
Yeah, it totally is. And, you know, sometimes we'll hear these people and they say, oh, I got a 50% overhead, 40% overhead. And I kind of just don't like those when they say that because they're not paying themselves as doctors. You know, they're saying I'm a solo doc, I'm the only doctor here, and I'm taking home 50% of the collections. And that doesn't mean a 50% overhead in my book. I think you're right, Reed. It's like you got to get to a point where there's actually some EBITDA, there's profit, there's owner profit, where that gives you the freedom to step back. You know, talking about delegation, I have somebody come to my house every Wednesday. Her name is Alex. She's awesome. She was just here. We're recording on a Friday, so 2 days ago, and I pay her $25 an hour. And she came. She took both mine and my wife's car to go get washed, get gas in them. She went to the pet store to buy some crickets for the my daughter's frog. She took the hot tub water in to go get checked, and she bought chemicals and put that in there. She took a bunch of my girls' toys to Goodwill to donate, you know, just old stuff. And every Wednesday she comes. Oh, and she probably thinks we're crazy because we return so many things, we buy so many things online. She runs to like the post office,
Yeah.
US, UPS, and FedEx, depending on what we're returning, and she returns all those things for us. And it's about 4 hours every week, random stuff. Oh, she fills up the fridge. I have a fridge in my master bedroom. She fills up the fridge with drinks, the beverage refrigerator. She goes upstairs and does that too, because God forbid I have to carry those things up the stairs by myself. But you know, it was one of those things that was like, we got this fridge and it's empty all the time. I'm like, we should hire somebody to fill this once a week. So that is my ultimate story, and I might sound like I'm bragging, and I am because I am proud of that person I have found to come. I sought out somebody to just do random errands every week, and I found her, and she's awesome, and she loves it.
I could connect so much with that. We talked once about this, Paul, too, but it took us forever to hire like a cleaning lady, and I felt a certain way about it. But once we did, I was like, this is awesome. I want more of this. This is like the stuff wasn't getting done, right? And you just stressed about it and you're anxious about it. But then so we have my mom is kind of like our nanny. She watches the kids, which I love. But it just like it's a little too much pressure on her. So I'm like, let's hire another nanny. And like I told the second nanny, I'm like, I will pay you for 40 hours a week whether we need you or not. I just need you there on the bench, ready to go when we need you. And like
Yeah.
how much pressure that takes off and just makes your life just a little bit, it's like greasing the wheels on everything, right? Like it makes life so much better. Like you don't even realize it until you start. And I think a lesson I learned was put a budget on $1,000 a month, $2,000 a month, and just see what you can improve in your life with delegation, not in your practice, but just personal life. And it's a really fun exercise to do. And it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and it sounds like frivolous to some people. Like, why wouldn't you do that yourself? What the hell? And just because I can doesn't mean I want to. I don't want to mow my lawn. I don't want to
Mhm.
trim the bushes. I don't want to do any of that stuff. It's like I don't want to do that just because I can. We don't need to seize every we don't have to seize every opportunity, guys. you know so coming back to the opportunity thing, and some dentists will say that, they will shut down for a meeting all day and they'll say all that lost production, and I will tell them you don't have to have every opportunity, because if you had to do every opportunity, we'd all be open 24/7. You have to close the doors sometimes.
Mhm.
Sometimes it's not always the right thing to do is produce.
If you guys read, McKinsey came out with a really good like summary of like what is a CEO,
Mm-mm.
like one of the top consulting companies. Okay. So they break it up into like 6 points, right? And it's real interesting because it's
Wait,
like
is this the
not intuitive.
McKinsey Way or something like that? Is that the title of this book, or is the title something with the CEO? Because I read the
No,
McKinsey
sorry,
Way.
sorry. So McKinsey Consulting, so like top tier consulting company,
Yeah.
they came out with like defining what a CEO is, like in their roles, right? They wrote like a whole article and then they made some images, like some
Oh, that's
graphics,
interesting.
summarize. It's really good, right? So like when you're growing a dental group, right? And you're like, okay, like who am I? Am I the operations person? Am I the visionary? And am I the COO? Am I the CEO? Right? You got to kind of figure out, well, what do those people do? And who am I? Right. So I was reading through these and it was really interesting. The CEO part, a big part of it talks about you need to be your best for everybody throughout the day. Okay. And a big part of that is managing your energy.
Mm.
So this is not fluffy. These are like the most like intense, like CEO, like training, like folks, and they're talking about energy. And so, like, at what cost, Paul, when you're talking about creating that freedom from things you just don't enjoy and take up time from you, right? What you're also saying is like, look, I need to be the best for my patients, my team, my coaching clients, right? Like I need to be the best for them, and I need to have that energy. And by doing this, I free up more energy to be the best for others, right? So you're a better version of yourself because you found stuff you just really don't enjoy, and your wife doesn't enjoy, and you found somebody who loves to do it. Every week come in and do that. So yeah, that's cool.
Well, I think
Right.
like my next one, I've got this person that comes and runs these errands, but I really would like to hire somebody like maybe in their like 70s, 80s, like an older lady, just to come and just kind of rub me on the shoulder every morning and go, "Hey, Paul, it's time to get up. You got this. You got this. Let's go. You're gonna have a great day today." And dude, I'm gonna jump out of bed. She's gonna hold my underwear out. I'm gonna jump through it like a superhero. She's gonna, let's go. You got just a cheerleader. She's gonna laugh at all my jokes. That's what I need.
Who was the robot from the Jetsons?
Oh yeah.
I, I think
Oh yeah.
I think that's what you need because if it's a robot,
Yeah.
it's not like as weird as it might sound, as it just sounded coming out of
Yeah,
your
right. If it's
mouth.
it's an encouraging robot. Yeah. It
Yeah,
doesn't
yeah.
sound that weird, but if it's an encouraging old lady that's a W-2 worker, maybe it's yeah, that sounds a little strange. I could see
Robot
that.
from the Jetsons. I mean, that's
I
what
can't
she
remember.
did, right? That was her whole job. So
Yeah.
you
She
might be
was
first in line at
like the
the
French maid robot. I'm picturing her. Like, yeah.
yeah, yeah, yep, yep.
See, that's the future, guys. That's the future. I mean, when was the Jetsons? When did it even take place? Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it was like in a time that's like maybe already passed. You know how like,
Yes.
we
It might be
Now
like
you're
the
now
back.
you're making me think here. Yeah, go for it. Keep talking. I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah, I was gonna say I was just gonna look it up too. But yeah, that's
Y'all were turning to Google it. Like literally, I was pulling up my other screen at the same time. It's like Back to the Future, right? The one where they go into the future. We've already passed that time. I can't remember what it
yeah.
was,
Yes.
2010
Well,
or
didn't they
something.
like predict the Cubs winning the World Series or something like, or wasn't it like within 2 years? I think from Back to the Future
That
two or
sounds.
three. I can't remember which one it
That
was.
sounds
I think it's the
familiar.
second one, but I
The
think you're
second one.
Yeah.
two.
Yeah.
So yes, 2062 was when the Jetsons took place, and
Okay.
Rosie was the robot maid.
Rosie.
And Back to the Future 2, my favorite part of those hover skateboards, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I
Yeah,
had a
like I was
skateboard
like,
that was designed like that.
so I bought an efoil this year. That's the closest thing I've ever seen, right? The water efoils where you're right above the
Oh
water.
yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm super excited to try that because of Back to the Future 2.
That's awesome, dude. Well, now like my girls, they got these high boys. Have you seen these things? I mean, they're like the scooters that you would rent in various like metropolitan areas like for the past 5 years. Like I know, like I remember they came out in Dallas and they were just like littered
Yeah.
everywhere. They were just scooters everywhere. But they're just like that. They go like 25 miles per hour. And now that's what her and her friends ride around. They don't ride bikes. They just ride these damn high boys and um they're mobile, dude. They're all over the place too.
Are
It's
you
great.
worried about 8 and 9? Like them catching a curb and just launching
Ah,
back
dude,
into someone?
my wife's always like, wear your helmet, protect your cranium. And I'm just like, dude, they let them be kids. But yeah, time will tell if I regret that stance. I mean, the thing is like we got out of car seats very soon. And it's like one of those things with car seats. Like they got the recommendations. I could tell you, oh, we got them out of there so soon. Nothing happened. But you know what the real is like nothing happened. Thank God nothing happened. Um, it's funny, my daughter, or not my wife. Okay, my wife, we were talking about my daughter, my 12-year-old, riding in the front seat. And I said, "Hey, how do you feel about her riding this is when she's 12, because 12 is the age, is I think they recommend." I said, "What do you think about front seat rules? Should we be like really strict about this?" She goes, "We've got to." Like that's one thing. She's like, "I know we didn't really do the car seats like we were supposed to and the booster seats like we were supposed to, but we need to do front seat like they said." Now, little did my wife know that she's only 4'11 and 95 pounds. She's not even large enough to ride in the front seat. So I told her she's got to get her ass in the back if we're going to play that game because you got to be 100 pounds and 5 feet tall. That is the rule. And she satisfies neither of those commitments.
Got it.
4'11, 95 pounds. So,
Calling her out. I love it.
yeah, tangents.
Well, thanks for the show today, guys. Paul, it was great having you on as always, catching up, chatting, and Reed, thanks again for tuning in as usual. Wealth, health, family, freedom. This year, commit to building the future you deserve.